How's it going, everyone? This is Jay from Keyboard Gaming. A couple years ago, I got a game called Little Nightmares in a Humble Bundle, but the game never really interested me at first. It sat in my Steam library for literally over a year, until I finally decided to give it a try, and I was extremely surprised at how much I liked the game. For those who don't know what this game is, Little Nightmares is a horror platformer with a somewhat cute type of art style. I say somewhat cute because somehow the devs managed to make that art style horrifying at the same time, which actually sets it apart from the other horror games I've played. I ended up liking this game so much that I felt like making a short video about it almost a year later. To avoid any potential spoilers, all the background footage is taken from the first few moments of the game. I'm going to start out by talking about the game's horror style and why I think it works so well. A few months ago we did a podcast on Little Big Planet 2, and we discussed why it was so good. One of the reasons that came up was that the players had limited space to create games, so they had to think extra creatively to make use of the space available. There have been so many platformer-style horror games that I've loved, but even then, a platformer seems like such an unlikely fit for making a horror game. Inside is a game that isn't entirely horror, but it manages to have a creepy atmosphere and story even with its limited platformer style. In games like these, developers are forced to push the style to its limits and tell a story without even having a single word of spoken dialogue. The story is told both by what's happening in the background and the challenges the player faces. Without any speech whatsoever, Little Nightmares creates a deep backstory and a ton of lore that people are still theorizing about many years later. Both the visuals and the music in Little Nightmares help to contribute to the incredibly creepy atmosphere. The story itself is very dark and has moments that can make you feel extremely uneasy. I loved every second I spent in the dark and dreary environments, even though I felt tense wherever I went. Even after finishing Little Nightmares, I was still creeped out after reading some of the lore, and fully realizing how messed up the game world is. The universe itself is dark and sometimes downright depressing, but that's in a way that makes you want to learn more about it. It's very hard to explain the atmosphere in this game, so it's best to just experience it for yourself. Little Nightmares gameplay isn't too difficult, but the puzzles give a decent enough challenge. A lot of the gameplay involves running away from enemies or hiding from them, but there are puzzles in between that are very satisfying to complete. It's relieving when you successfully run away from an enemy, but then they'll drop down from the ceiling and surprise you. There really aren't any jump scares in it, but there are a few moments where you might get startled by an enemy or event. The game is actually quite short, only taking around 5 hours on average to beat. This could be a problem for most people if they have to pay a lot for it, so it's best to get the game on sale. I made this short video on purpose because there's a lot of potential spoilers that are best experienced in person. If you manage to get it cheap, then I highly recommend playing this game if you're looking for a good horror experience. There's probably a lot more that I could say about Little Nightmares, but it's a game that I think everyone should play at least once. If you have any interest at all in horror-style games, then definitely give Little Nightmares a shot. That's gonna be it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.